millionaire sees a homeless woman teaching his daughter, and he fell in love with her. Daniel Carter, a 36-year-old architect, widower, and man who seemed to have it all, except peace within his soul. He had built a brilliant career. The buildings he designed stood tall as symbols of elegance and modernity across the city. Yet, no matter how successful he appeared on the outside, inside his heart remained hollow. 3 years earlier, his beloved wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with their 8-year-old daughter, Emily. Since that day, Daniel lived in a sprawling suburban mansion, a place that had once been a home but had now turned into a cold prison for his grieving heart. Emily was the only reason Daniel kept going. The little girl, with her mother's clear eyes, spoke less and less as the months passed. She carried a sadness no child her age should bear. None of the private tutors Daniel hired could reach her. The grand mansion grew quiet, devoid of the laughter of a child. That afternoon, Daniel decided to leave work early. He wanted to surprise Emily with dinner together, but as soon as he stepped into the grand hall, he saw the pale face of the nanny. "Mr. Carter?" "Emily! Emily is gone!" she cried, breathless and panicked. The words pierced Daniel's chest like a knife. His world collapsed in an instant. Emily, his only child, the one light left in his life, had disappeared without a trace. Without hesitation, Daniel rushed out of the house. His heart pounded like a war drum. He ran through familiar streets, shouting his daughter's name, his voice cracking from desperation. "Emily! Emily!" With every step, his mind conjured the darkest scenarios. What if she had been kidnapped? What if she was hurt? He possessed everything: wealth, prestige, influence, but none of it mattered if he couldn't protect the one thing that truly gave his life meaning. Neighbors and even some of his company staff joined the frantic search. Yet time moved painfully slow, each minute stretching like an eternity. Despair gnawed at him more fiercely with every passing second. After 45 agonizing minutes, one of his employees came running, shouting from the direction of the nearby park. "Mr. Carter, I found her! Emily is in the park!" Daniel didn't waste a breath. He sprinted toward the park, his tailored suit drenched in sweat, his heart echoing a single desperate prayer. "Please, let my daughter be safe. Please don't let anything happen to her." As he neared the grassy area, he froze. From a distance, beneath the shade of an old tree, he spotted Emily sitting on a wooden bench. She looked unharmed, perfectly at peace. Relief flooded his chest like a warm tide. But then he noticed something else. Emily was not alone. Beside her sat a woman. Her clothes were old and torn, her hair unkempt, her shoes worn down to nothing. Every detail declared the same truth. She was homeless. Daniel's instincts flared instantly. Who dared to sit so close to his child? He strode quickly forward, ready to pull Emily away. But then he stopped in his tracks when he heard the woman's voice. It was calm, soothing, rich with warmth. "This word is river. Try saying it, Emily." Emily beamed, her face lit with a joy Daniel hadn't seen in far too long. "River," she repeated proudly. The woman nodded with gentle approval. "Wonderful, you see? Every word has a story of its own." Daniel's breath caught in his chest. How long had it been since he last saw that kind of smile on Emily's face? A smile so innocent, so full of happiness. "Emily!" he called out, his voice trembling with both fear and anger. The girl turned, her eyes sparkling. "Daddy, look, Miss Sophia is teaching me to read. I love it." Sophia, so that was her name. Daniel approached, his eyes fixed on the stranger. The woman slowly rose to her feet. Despite her shabby appearance, she carried herself with dignity and quiet strength. Her voice was soft yet firm, touched with self-respect. "I'm sorry," she said. "I saw Emily sitting alone, struggling with her book. I only wanted to help." Daniel frowned. Her words, her tone, her posture, None of it matched the image he had of people living on the streets. There was something in her gaze, clear, intelligent, kind, that unsettled him deeply. Emily clutched Sophia's hand tightly, pleading, "Daddy, please let Miss Sophia teach me more. She tells the best stories." Daniel's chest tightened. He knew he should pull his daughter away at once. Yet, faced with Emily's pleading eyes and Sophia's gentle presence, he hesitated. A strange battle raged inside him, the fierce instinct to protect and the undeniable pull of curiosity. Before he could ask more, Emily tugged at his sleeve, pleading, "Daddy, Miss Sophia teaches me so well. Please let her stay a little longer." "Hold." Daniel was ready to refuse, but the light in his daughter's eyes stopped him. It had been so long since he'd seen Emily this joyful, this alive. He swallowed his stern words and instead turned to Sophia. "Are you a teacher?" The question slipped out before he could stop himself. Sophia hesitated. Her brown eyes shimmered with a deep sorrow, buried for years. Her voice trembled, yet it was steady enough. "I used to be a professor of literature. That was a long time ago." Daniel's heart jolted. A homeless woman, once a university professor? Looking closer, he noticed the calm gestures, the articulate way she spoke, the gentle patience she showed Emily. Everything confirmed she was telling the truth. Sophia drew in a deep breath and sat down on the bench again. Emily nestled close to her, as if sensing the weight of her story. With a slow, steady tone, Sophia opened the door to her past. 4 years ago, I stood in a lecture hall teaching literature to college students. Life was simple, but it was meaningful. I had a small family, a husband working in real estate. We lived in a modest apartment, not luxurious but warm. I believed I was happy. Tears welled in her eyes. Instinctively, Emily reached for her hand, offering silent comfort. But when his career began to soar, everything changed. Mark, my former husband, became wealthy in just a few years. Then one day, he told me I was no longer good enough to stand by his side. He handed me divorce papers with a cold smile and said he was going to marry a politician's daughter. To me, he said I was too ordinary, too small. Daniel listened, his fists tightening unconsciously. "But that wasn't the worst," Sophia continued, her voice breaking. "He used his money and influence to destroy me. He spread lies that I was unfit to teach, bribed people to defame my character. In just 6 months, I lost my job, my home, my reputation. I went from being a respected professor to a woman with nowhere to go." Her voice cracked into sobs, but quickly she gathered herself again. "I tried to fight, but he had lawyers, connections, power. All I had was the bare truth of my story, and that truth wasn't strong enough to defeat the weight of money." A strange ache rose in Daniel's chest. He, too, was a powerful man. He knew exactly how money could bend justice. And for the first time, he wondered uneasily, in another life, could he have become another Mark? Sophia's lips curved into a faint, bittersweet smile. "Still, there is one thing I never lost, my love for teaching. Sometimes I find children in the park and show them how to read, how to solve math problems. That is all I have left, the piece of me that makes me feel like myself." Emily looked up, eyes shining. "You're the best teacher I've ever had." Sophia chuckled softly, brushing the girl's hair. That single sentence lit up her weary face like sunshine breaking through clouds. Daniel watched the scene, his daughter, usually so withdrawn, now laughing and learning with this stranger. For the first time in years, Emily seemed alive again. And in that instant, something cold inside him began to melt. The air in the park seemed to grow still after Sophia finished her story. Daniel sat quietly for a long while. He didn't know why he couldn't bring himself to leave, nor why the words of refusal refused to leave his lips. Emily tugged at his sleeve, her eyes pleading. Daddy, I want Miss Sophia to teach me more. No one ever explains things like she does. Please?" Daniel looked at his daughter, then at Sophia. Inside, a strange feeling stirred, fragile yet firm. For 3 years he had lived in cold silence, and now, in just one short hour, this woman had done what neither he nor any tutor could do: bring back Emily's genuine smile. He rose to his feet, his voice measured but resolute. "Sophia, I have a proposal." The woman flinched slightly, stepping back as if to shield herself. "I can't take money from you. I'm not asking for charity." Daniel shook his head, his eyes unwavering. "This isn't charity, it's gratitude. You gave my daughter something I haven't been able to give her for months: joy. I want to invite you to my home, to be Emily's private tutor. You'll have a place to stay, meals, a salary, and above all, respect." Sophia fell silent. Her eyes glistened with tears, but uncertainty lingered. Old scars made trust difficult. "Mr. Carter, you don't know me. What if I fail your trust? What if I'm not who you think I am?" Emily quickly intervened, wrapping her arms tightly around Sophia. "Please, Miss Sophia, say yes. I want you to stay with me. I promise I'll study hard." Daniel nodded gently, his voice softening. "It's been a long time since my daughter begged for anything. You don't have to decide right this moment. But if you do, don't see it as pity. See it as an opportunity. For you, for me, and for Emily." Sophia bit her lip, her heart torn between fear and hope. Part of her wanted to flee, yet another part longed to believe in miracles again. The child's cries shattered the last defenses in Sophia. She instinctively lifted the little girl into her arms. Daniel watched the way Sophia soothed his daughter, moved by how natural it seemed. "My wife passed away 3 years ago," he said hoarsely, sharing his deepest pain for the first time. "Since then, Emily has been sad and withdrawn. None of the teachers I hired could connect with her." He swallowed the lump rising in his throat. "In just 20 minutes, you did what no one else managed for months. You made her smile for real." Sophia listened, sensing the weight of the trust this man was placing in her. "I've lost everything too," Daniel continued. "Maybe not in the same way you did, but I know the pain of betrayal and loneliness." Their eyes met, for the first time filled with genuine understanding. "I'm not offering you charity, Sophia. I'm offering you the chance to reclaim your dignity and your purpose." The sincerity in his voice ignited a spark of hope she thought had long died. "And you're also helping me become a better father," he admitted, lowering his own guard. Sophia drew a deep breath, her heart pounding as she hesitated. "What if I fail? What if I'm not what you expect?" she asked, afraid of disappointing them. Daniel smiled, a rare, genuine smile after so long. "Then at least we tried to do something good. But I have a feeling this will turn out better than the 3 of us could imagine." Emily clapped her hands in delight. "We're going to be a real family." The child's words pierced the adults' hearts, filling the emptiness they hadn't yet dared to name. Sophia looked straight into Daniel's eyes, searching for doubt or deceit, but found only honesty. "All right," she whispered. "I'll accept, but only temporarily, until I find something more stable." Daniel nodded, though deep down he knew this decision would change everything forever. "Good. Then let's go home," he said, extending his hand toward her. "Welcome to our family, Sophia." The road back to the mansion was quiet, yet filled with expectation. Sophia sat in the back seat of the black Rolls-Royce, with little Emily beside her, chattering excitedly about everything she wanted to learn with her. "I have so many books in my room, and even some educational games, but I never use them," the girl said eagerly. "Daddy has a very big library, but there are many words I don't understand." Sophia smiled at her innocence, feeling the long-dormant motherly heart within her, awaken once again. Daniel watched them through the rearview mirror, surprised at how easily Emily had welcomed Sophia. "Do you have any belongings you need to pick up?" he asked politely. Sophia shook her head, pointing to her small backpack. "This is everything I have," she said, not bitterly, just as a plain fact. Daniel's chest tightened at how much life had taken from her. "Then, tomorrow we'll go shopping and get you everything you need," he said firmly. When they arrived at the grand mansion perched on the hillside, Sophia couldn't hide her awe. The house, designed in Mediterranean style, stood tall with perfectly tended gardens and a fountain in the center of the courtyard. "It's so big," she murmured, suddenly feeling the weight of the social divide. Daniel immediately sensed her unease. "It's only a house, Sophia, a place to live," he reassured gently. "Money doesn't make it warmer or happier." Emily tugged her hand and pulled her toward the door. "Come on, let me show you my room." The housekeeper, Mrs. Green, greeted them at the entrance with a curious look. "Mrs. Green, this is Sophia. She'll be living with us and will be Emily's tutor," Daniel said naturally. "Please prepare the guest room on the second floor." Mrs. Green nodded, though there was still a trace of surprise and caution in her eyes at the newcomer. Sophia instantly understood the atmosphere, but told herself there would be time to earn their trust. For now, she only hoped she wouldn't wake from what felt like an impossible dream. The first night in the Carter mansion was an almost unreal experience for Sophia. The guest room, rarely used before, had become her refuge. High ceilings, heavy curtains, a wide bed covered in freshly scented linens. In the bathroom, hot water poured endlessly from a gleaming showerhead. Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, running her hand across the smooth sheet, her heart torn between awe and unease. Part of her marveled, the other part feared. "Is this just a dream? And if it is, will it vanish by morning?" she whispered. Throughout the night she tossed and turned, getting up several times to open the window, gazing down at the quiet garden lit with tiny lamps, as if to confirm that everything before her was real. The next morning, Sophia put on the clean blouse Mrs. Green, the housekeeper, had laid out for her. Stepping into the dining room, she gave a shy nod to Daniel, who sat with a newspaper in hand. He looked up, a faint smile on his lips. "Good morning, Sophia. I hope you slept well?" She answered with quiet awkwardness. "Thank you. The room. It's more wonderful than any place I've ever had." Daniel folded the paper and gestured for her to sit. "Today, I'd like to talk with you about Emily's lessons. I don't just want her to gain knowledge, I want her to find joy again." It was the first time Sophia noticed a softness in his otherwise stern tone, and when she began to describe her teaching methods, word games, exercises turned into little adventures, her eyes lit up. Daniel listened in silence, drawn into the passion still alive within this woman. Emily woke later than usual. When she entered the dining room and saw her father and Sophia talking and smiling together, she squealed, "I thought it was a dream. Miss Sophia, you're really still here?" Sophia opened her arms to the child. "I promised you, didn't I?" From that day on, the Carter mansion began to change, little by little. Sophia turned lessons into games. She taught Emily children's songs, cooked simple meals with her in the kitchen, told bedtime stories with lively voices. Emily, who had rarely smiled since her mother's death, now giggled constantly. Her laughter echoed through the house, reaching even Daniel's study. Many times he paused in the doorway, quietly watching as his daughter and Sophia colored pictures or played treasure hunts, his heart soothed by the sight. At first, Mrs. Green could not hide her skepticism. To her, Sophia was merely a homeless woman suddenly brought into the home. But over time, watching Sophia patiently guide Emily through each word, or seeing the girl nestle against her with laughter, Mrs. Green sighed. "She has something special. Emily hasn't been this happy since the day her mother passed." One evening, as Sophia told a fairy tale with playful voices, Daniel entered the living room. He stopped, silent. Emily laughed so hard she clutched her belly. Sophia laughed too, her eyes shimmering with light. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt his house truly alive, filled with the breath of family. He realized then, it wasn't just Emily who was changing. He himself was beginning to melt. One afternoon, while tidying the library, Sophia came across a family photo album. "This is my mom," Emily said, pointing at a picture, yet without the sadness that usually darkened her voice. "She's so beautiful, isn't she?" Sophia nodded, gently stroking the girl's hair. "Very beautiful, and I'm sure she still loves you from heaven." This evening, Sophia suddenly suggested, "Mr. Carter, I have an idea. It may sound unusual, but I believe it could help Emily a great deal." Daniel tilted his head, curious. "What idea?" Sophia drew in a deep breath. "I think it's time Emily could remember her mother in a gentler way. We could create a special evening, light candles, look through photos, share happy memories. So Emily learns that memories don't belong only to sadness, but also to love." Daniel fell silent. Since his wife's death, he had never dared open the photo albums. He feared the pain would consume him and his daughter. But now the suggestion did not terrify him. Instead, it sounded like a door opening to healing. That night, the three of them sat in the living room, candles flickering on the table. Emily picked up a photograph of her mother, smiling radiantly. The girl whispered, "Mom was so beautiful. Wasn't she, Dad?" Daniel nodded, his throat tight. Sophia gently placed a hand on Emily's shoulder, whispering, "And she is surely watching over you from somewhere. So proud of you." The atmosphere in the room shifted. It was no longer the familiar heaviness of grief, but a tender space where sorrow transformed into cherished memory. Daniel looked at Sophia, and an unfamiliar feeling rose within him. Gratitude, warmth, and a spark of new hope. One night, Daniel found Sophia quietly crying on the porch. She sat on the garden swing under the moonlight, her sobs broken, as though they came from the cracks of a shattered soul. Daniel hesitated, unsure whether to approach or respect her solitude. "Sophia, are you all right?" he asked softly, stepping closer. She startled, quickly wiping her tears with the sleeve of her sweater. "I didn't hear you coming, sir," she said awkwardly. "I just wanted to get some fresh air." "Tsti." But he saw her swollen eyes. She had been crying for a long time. "May I sit here?" he asked, motioning to the empty space on the swing. Sophia gave a slight nod, making room. "What's troubling you?" he asked with genuine concern, his voice gentle in a way he'd never spoken to anyone before. "Sometimes I feel I don't deserve this chance," she confessed, her voice breaking. "Like an imposter in the life of you and your daughter." Her words struck his heart painfully. "Sophia, in just 2 weeks, you've brought more life into this house than in the past 3 years, he said sincerely. "Every morning, Emily wakes up eager, singing the songs you've taught her." Sophia looked at him through her tears, astonished by the intensity in his words. "But I'm just a homeless woman you took in out of pity," she whispered. "No," Daniel exclaimed, louder than he intended. "You are an extraordinary teacher, a courageous woman who didn't give up even after losing everything." He leaned slightly closer, his eyes shining under the stars. "You are the one who, in just 20 minutes, made my daughter laugh brighter than I ever could in years." Sophia's breath quickened at his nearness. "You didn't take me in out of pity, did you, Daniel?" For the first time, she spoke his name without the distance of formality. He shook his head, his gaze never leaving hers. "I brought you here because I saw in you the one thing we were both desperately missing: hope." The silence that followed grew thick with an unspoken electricity, a feeling neither of them dared to name. Time passed quickly, and before long, Emily's 9th birthday was approaching. Daniel planned a small celebration in the mansion's back garden, not extravagant, just enough for Emily to feel loved and cherished. One morning, while Sophia was helping Emily craft handmade invitations, Daniel walked into the dining room carrying a finely wrapped box with a ribbon. Clearing his throat, he set the box gently in front of Sophia. "This is for you. I would like you to wear it on Emily's birthday." Sophia blinked in surprise, hesitating before opening it. Inside lay a navy blue silk dress, simple yet elegant, paired with delicate shoes and a silver bracelet. "Mr. Carter, I can't accept this. It's far too much for me," Sophia stammered, her hands trembling. Daniel held her gaze, his voice calm yet firm. "It's not just for you, Sophia. It's for Emily. She wants to see you looking beautiful on her special day. And, to be honest, so do I." Sophia bit her lip, torn between embarrassment and emotion. It had been so long since anyone had cared about making her feel beautiful. The day arrived faster than she expected. The back garden bloomed with balloons and fresh flowers. A long white table overflowed with cakes, tacos, and fruit punch. Emily, dressed in a pink party dress, darted around greeting friends and parents. Children's laughter filled the air. But all grew silent when Sophia descended the mansion's grand staircase. The navy dress hugged her figure with grace, her brown hair pinned back with soft curls falling onto her shoulders. The late afternoon light illuminated her face, her amber eyes glowing like fire. Emily squealed with delight. "Miss Sophia looks like a princess." Guests whispered compliments, some parents approaching to chat, impressed by her elegance and cultured manner. Daniel stood nearby, struck speechless. In that moment, he no longer saw a woman who had once lived on the streets, but a radiant Sophia, shining, dignified, utterly deserving. When it came time to sing Happy Birthday, Sophia led the song, her sweet voice carrying over the clapping. Emily made her wish and blew out the candles, her eyes sparkling with pure joy. Daniel looked at the two beside him, his daughter and Sophia, and the truth surged clear. He had fallen in love with this woman, deeply and irrevocably. After the birthday party, Daniel knew it was time to speak the truth he had been holding inside. "Sophia," he finally spoke, his voice trembling with emotion he could no longer contain. "Shall we go out to the porch, under the stars, and talk?" She froze, her heart racing. She had known this moment would come, yet when it arrived, she wasn't sure she was ready. The porch bathed in moonlight and soft garden lamps, creating a poetic, romantic atmosphere. Daniel Carter set 2 glasses of red wine on the table beside the swing where she had once cried. "It's such a beautiful night," Sophia said, filling the heavy silence. "Just like you," Daniel answered without hesitation, stepping closer. "In these 2 months, you've not only transformed my daughter's life, but mine as well." Sophia looked straight into his eyes and saw a vulnerability no one had ever glimpsed in this man. "Daniel, please don't say things that..." He gently cut her off, taking her hand. "That I shouldn't feel? That I shouldn't say aloud?" Her hand trembled in his. The walls she had built began to crumble. "We are too different. You're a millionaire, and I'm just..." "You are the woman I love," he confessed, his voice trembling yet fierce. "The one who gave me back my daughter, my home, and my very reason to believe in life again." Tears welled in Sophia's eyes, not of sorrow, but of a happiness so overwhelming it frightened her. "You can't love me," she whispered, pulling her hand back slightly. "I don't deserve it. I come from the streets. I have nothing to give you." He stepped closer, his eyes burning with an intensity that made her tremble. "Nothing to give me? Sophia, in 2 months you've given me more than the past 3 years of solitude combined." His voice thick with emotion. "You gave me back my daughter, brought laughter into my home, reminded me what it means to live. Sophia took a step back, struggling against her own feelings. But what will people say? In your world, what will they think when they hear you love a woman who was once homeless? Daniel moved closer, closing the distance. I don't care what the world thinks, he said firmly. I only care about what's here, he pressed his fist lightly to his chest, and what I see in your eyes when you look at me. Sophia could no longer deny the truth. She had fallen for the goodness of this man. Daniel, she whispered, so have I. I feel something very deep for you too. The confession lingered in the night air like a sacred vow. The moment stretched into eternity. Daniel leaned closer, slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. But she remained still, captivated by his gaze. May I kiss you? He murmured, his breath grazing her cheek. Sophia closed her eyes and nodded gently, and her world changed forever. When his lips touched hers, it was as though the sky opened, stars cascading around them. The kiss began tender, hesitant, reverent, then deepened as they surrendered to the feelings they had denied for weeks. Daniel cupped her face with reverence, while her hands clung to his shirt as if to a lifeline. I love you, Sophia, he whispered against her lips, for the first time using I and you with intimate tenderness. I love you with all my heart. Sophia felt dizzy with joy. I love you too, Daniel, she answered through shining tears. I love you until it hurts. They held each other tightly, their hearts beating in unison beneath the starry sky. That night, they sat together until late, sharing their fears, dreams, and hopes. Daniel Carter spoke of the loneliness after his wife's death, of the walls he had built around his heart to keep from hurting again. But you broke them all without even knowing it, he said, brushing her hair back. From the very first day I saw you teaching Emily in that park. Sophia Reyes opened up about her fear of abandonment, the feeling of being unworthy of love after all the losses she had endured. My ex-husband made me believe I was worthless, she admitted painfully, that no one would ever truly love me. Daniel cupped her face in his hands, gazing deeply into her eyes. That man was a fool who couldn't recognize the treasure right in front of him. You are the most valuable woman I've ever known. They kissed again, this time steady, anchored by a love finally returned. What do we do next? Sophia asked, still trembling with emotion. We live happily, Daniel smiled, his face illuminated with joy. The three of us, like the family our hearts have longed for. Sophia nestled her head against his chest. For the first time in years, she felt she had finally come home. The night became sacred. After putting Emily Carter to bed and making sure Mrs. Green had retired to her room, they met again on the porch, like young lovers. I've been waiting for this moment all day, Daniel Carter confessed, lifting her hand to his lips. So have I, Sophia Reyes replied, no longer shy about hiding her feelings. They sat together on the swing, his arm draped over her shoulder, her head resting against his chest, whispering their deepest thoughts beneath the stars. When you look at me like that, what are you thinking? Sophia asked one night, catching his burning gaze. I think I'm the luckiest man alive, Daniel said, brushing her hair back. I think life took everything from me, only to give it back 100-fold, through you. They kissed slowly, savoring every minute of closeness. Sometimes I'm afraid, Sophia confessed. Afraid of what, my love? Afraid that tomorrow I'll wake up and find this was only a dream. Daniel pulled her tighter into his arms. This is real, Sophia, more real than anything in my life. Their late-night conversations built an intimacy as powerful as their physical closeness. One November night, while walking through the moonlit garden, Daniel stopped by the fountain and took her hand. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Her heart skipped. What is it? Do you regret this? No, no, he reassured quickly. On the contrary, I want to talk about our future. Sophia's heartbeat quickened. I know we've only just begun, Daniel continued, but I want you to know I'm absolutely serious. You're not just an affair to me, Sophia. You're the woman I want to build a life with. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Are you sure? Because I carry so many scars, so many fears. He pressed a gentle kiss to her lips. And I carry a daughter who already loves you like a mother, a house that needs your laughter, and a heart that beats again only because of you. They embraced tightly, both feeling they had found destiny in each other's arms. I love you so much it almost hurts to breathe, Sophia whispered. Daniel smiled softly, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a small box, slipping the ring onto her finger. Daniel and Sophia's wedding took place in the garden behind the mansion, the same place that had witnessed Emily's laughter and the slow healing of old wounds. The golden afternoon sun spread across the green lawn, white ribbons fluttered in the breeze, and the fragrance of roses filled the air. The guest list was small, only close friends, a few of Daniel's colleagues, neighbors, and of course Mrs. Green, who couldn't hold back her tears seeing Sophia in a simple yet elegant wedding dress. Emily, in a tiny pink dress, walked ahead with a basket of petals, her smile radiant. She leaned toward Sophia and whispered, I told you, I always wanted you to be my mom. Tears spilled from Sophia's eyes, but they were tears of joy. When Daniel took her hand at the altar, her heart whispered, At last, I have found where I belong. The officiant spoke solemnly. Today we witness not only the union of two people, but the rebirth of a family. When Daniel kissed Sophia, applause erupted through the garden. Emily jumped with glee, shouting, Now we're a real family. The reception that followed was simple, but filled with happiness. Sophia sang soft songs with the guests. Daniel laughed more freely than he had in years. And Emily, seated between her father and her new mother, glowed like sunlight itself. Late at night, when the lights dimmed and the guests had left, Daniel and Sophia stood together beneath the old tree in the garden. Moonlight bathed them in silver. Daniel wrapped her in his arms and whispered, From the moment I saw you in that park, I knew my life would never be the same. Thank you for coming into it, for healing us. Sophia rested her head against his chest, eyes closed, murmuring, No, Daniel, you and Emily saved me, and now we begin a new story together. And so, in each other's embrace, they stepped into a new chapter, where love, trust, and hope had taken the place of pain and loss.